Hi there YouTubers, welcome back to my channel, Workshop Fun. Today I'd just like to post a final update about my Victron system. Everything's all done now, and since I last updated my video about, or videos plural, about my Victron system, there's been some big changes. I uploaded a couple of other videos and I deleted them because there was still some more things happening, and yeah, I thought things were finished, and then it ended up being a little bit longer than what I thought, so I deleted those videos and now I'm posting the final one. Right, so let's get started. Okay, so for all those that didn't see the videos that were on my channel and then got deleted, let's get started with the inverter. So this inverter is a new one since I posted a last long-standing video. This is a 3 kVA inverter, and it's the smart inverter. Now, I did have the other Victron inverter, but I sold it on and went for this bigger one because it gives me the overhead that I'll need one day when I want to also power a tiny home off this caravan. So yeah, so now I got this 3 kVA inverter, and it's a smart one, so it hooks up with the Cerebo and I can access it over my phone and turn it on and off through that. Yeah, it's a wonderful inverter. Real well made, like everything Victron does. So this one being the 3 kVA 12 volt, it's very demanding on the 12 volt system. So rather than just having 2 terminals to connect to, you do have the option of 4 leads to come off this and go to your bus bar system or battery. Now I chose to go with 2 big ones, and I went for the 95mm square cable because that's what the manual recommended if you're going to go for 2. So that's all done, but then when I did that, I also had to upgrade my battery leads, and they need to be, of course, stronger than the inverter leads. So my battery leads now have 120mm square cable, which is, it's pretty big, very big actually. So I had to modify the battery box to handle the big cables. Right now I only got the one battery, but that is going to change in the future, just one thing at a time though. And so the main leads will always go to here, and then the other batteries I'll just use some leads and run them off to the room that I've created back here, and then everything will still be running through my shunt and the main leads. So any major power draw will still always go through this, your main big fat leads. Now, moving right along, I ripped out the big white box because I didn't like it in the end. It was taking too much room, and rebuilt everything. So I made everything way more compact, and that was with the thought in mind of having a future battery bank in here. So what I did is I built this nice little square area, just almost like an old picket fence, but I built that for the Cerebo and the USB hub to sit on. So that's my main area. I can access that if I need to, and ran all the cables as neatly as I could. And then after that, I had to build a very heavy duty bus bar system, and basically a main connection system, really. It's not just the bus bar, it's the kill switch, it's the shunt, it's the inverter. It is the main bus bar and connection area. And I wanted that compact as well. So I bought these two 600 amp bus bars, one black, one red, so that's nice. You got your positive and negative. And then with the switch and the shunt and the breaker for the inverter, they directly connect through copper plates, so it makes it so I can bring things up closer together and save space. And of course, what was I going to say? Of course, with the 600 amp bus bars, I didn't need big six stud bus bars. I just went for the nice 4 studs because then it's smaller. And once again, you know, you save your space. So that's my designed little system there that I spent I know it looks simple, but I actually spent quite a long time designing that. So yeah, I'm very happy with it. It's working well. So yeah, that's all done. So I'm quite pleased to see that, because that was another hard job. Right, then underneath here, I'm going to bring my phone down and lift the camera up a bit. Right, so now you got cable management. So I had to actually add this extra beam in with a whole lot of little zip tie squares that are screwed onto the wooden beam. I put those on, of course, before I put the wooden beam in. And then I cable managed all the VE direct cables, because there's a lot. There's an awful lot. So that's how it's all cable managed. Worked out really well. I'm happy with it. And yeah, so that's worked out. Yeah, like I said, it's worked out really well, and I don't see any issue with that in the future. Everything's tied together nicely and looking nice and neat, and doesn't look like a bird's nest. And when you're standing up, of course, you don't even see it, so that makes it nice and discreet. Any visible things, I painted them white, and this here I built, so that holds my thick battery leads in place. Well, just as a side note, these battery leads, so they are actually flexible, I bought welding cable and turned around and used that so I could actually have some flex in them. Normal cable would just not have worked. Okay, so the thermostat for turning on the fan that I got down here for the inverter, that has been relocated to up here in front of the inverter. And of course the inverter is pushing out the heat here, so it makes the most sense to have it up front here. And that's set to kick the fan off at the parameters that I want. So once again, that's the outlet for the fan. That's my custom made inlet. So that sucks the air in, pushes it out through the fan. Seems to work well. With all the wiring in my own fuse block, I put all that through to here and sheathed it so it looks nice, and then put my fuse block here. And then also with the negative cable, to make it negative, like make it black, I sheathed that as well for the battery cable. So that was really nice. It all worked out good. So I'll stand up. It's a very nice compact system. Now, I mean, when you think about what's going on here, that's quite compact. Pretty darn hard to work out how to get it that small when you got a 3 kVA inverter, a Cerebo with tons going into it. I won't be worrying about showing this on video, but this is the only thing I've got left to hook up at some point. This is my external power that I have talked about in past videos for the USB plugs and my big Anderson plugs for like anything heavy duty 12 volt outside. So I just got to run 2 wires, one to this breaker down here and one straight up to the negative. Now, so that's not the only surprises I got. There's been a couple of developments lately, and I mean only just finished this tonight. So let's get talking about it. I'm going to move this horrible squeaking thing. Right, so this was the final touch. You guys will have seen this charger in my previous videos. It's the 240 volt version of the IP43 smart charger, 50 amp, 3 outlets. So it's the top model of the 240 volt version. Now, the newer 120 240 volt IP43 charger has newer software and is slightly better because it being built a lot later, it has more features that this one doesn't have. In saying that though, this one is still an incredibly good charger. So what did I do? Well, I now have 2 of these. So why would I have 2 of these, some people will ask. Well, one of these days when I have built my lithium ion phosphate battery bank, they can take lots of amps to charge them, and basically that's when you need, well, I have a good friend and he has a bus and he's got 360 amp hours of lithium ion batteries, and he charges his batteries at 70 amps with the bulk charge, and then it coasts its way down into your float charge. So that's why you have big AC chargers. The other thing is you can have a smaller AC charge. You are meant to have 10 to 20% of your battery capacity in your chargers. Otherwise you're starting to hurt your batteries. But there's also another reason for having high amp chargers, and that's, you see, one day I plan on having my own block of land and being off grid, and when I do that I'll have a generator to fire up my caravan and charge the batteries. This will be, well, the 2 chargers will be my main source of charging my batteries, and I want it to be as quick as possible without hurting the batteries, because I don't want to be running the generator for hours and hours, costing me tons in petrol or diesel, whatever. So it saves a lot of cost. So that's something we're thinking about. So what I've done is I have 2 of these 50 amp chargers, both the 3 outlet. One's the 240 volt version and one's the 120 volt version. I'll bring you over now to the 120 volt version. Here we go. So the 240 volt version used to be up here, but I moved that down into that nice stand that I've made into the in with the inverter, and I put this one up here. So the 2 chargers now act as one. They're synced together via Bluetooth, and they turn on and off together with my Cerbo start-stop relay. And how I did that was I used the relay for the Cerbo start-stop relay. I used that. That comes out here, goes across to here, and goes into this one's remote switch, turns this one on, then this one on its relay comes up back up to here and hooks into here, and that is the remote wire that goes all the way up here to this charger. So the servo turns on the 240 volt charger down in the inverter area, and then that charger turns on this charger. So one unit. It's really nice because, you know, come to my little touch screen here. By the way, I now have the Touch 50 just to sort of be able to visually interact with all of my gear. So you come to here, and we'll just go to the main screen. We'll go to here, and we hit stop. So it's going to stop in 5 seconds. Okay. Start off. You just got your little signal lights all off. So they'll just blink from time to time. Now, turn it on. This one comes on. So it's counting down now. So this one's now turned on. Now you come over to here, there's a slight delay with this one because the relay's got to start up with the first one. There you go. Now that's that one on. Done. So all at the touch of a button, or well, actually not a button, all at the touch of a screen, everything's on. Very simple, but yet very complicated to set up. Nothing's changed up here. This is all, oh actually hang on, sorry, yes, there has been some changes up here. Everything got cable managed. It was a mess underneath here because I had added on a solar charger, and then I added on another solar charger, and so on. And this all got really messy underneath here. So I spent ages and cable managed all of this. And that means also all down here is cable managed. This little wooden panel, I actually took it off and actually had to modify the caravan a little bit to handle the cables. And then in here you used to see all the cables. Well, now there's artificial walls to stop you from seeing all the ugly cables. It just looks, you know, like a wall, all hidden. So that's nice. The only bit that's visual is the bit that I wanted to be visual, and I made sure it was really nice and neat and tidy, so people can look at this and go, oh yeah, that's kind of cool, like that, yeah. So that is my system, all done, all complete. I don't think I'll be adding any solar. I got 1200 watt, and when I'm, you know, off grid like I want to be one day, I'll just have a nice, probably 2 kVA generator. That will do it, and that'll give me enough to charge my batteries, and also, you know, run a couple other little bits while the batteries are charging up. So yeah, that's about it for now. This will be the last big Victron talk. I am very pleased to say that it is done. It's a beautiful system now. I'm very happy with it. But now it's done. Yeah. Oh, and just one last little thing. My friendly electrician, he came around, and my AC side of things is all certified. So that's a nice feeling. All up to compliance, so it's all legal beagle. So that's brilliant. Alrighty. Well, I hope everybody has a nice evening. And oh, actually, there's just one last quick thing I should talk about. It was a bit silly of me to forget. If you're going to buy one of these IP43 chargers, and you're just going to buy the one, make sure, and I really mean this, I stress this, if you want to have latest software, latest firmware updates, things like that, make very sure you spend the extra like $40 and get the 120 volt to 40 volt version, because there is a few differences between the two, and it's pretty obvious in the time that it was built. This one here was built in September of 2022. I know that because I looked at its certificates. The other one, the 240 volt one, was built in September 2019. So, you know, that's 3 years difference. And in that time, we all know that technology changes. So, one advantage of this one physically is it's almost a kg lighter. And you really do actually feel it. You wouldn't think you'd feel it much, but the 241 is 3.5 kgs. This one is 2.7. And I didn't just trust the manuals, I actually weighed them, and yep, bang on the money. The manuals are completely accurate. The 240 volt one is 3.5 kgs, and this one is 2.7. And I'll tell you what, you do feel it. The other thing is this one is slightly wider in its depth. It's 16 mils wider. So that's the physical differences, as well as the Bluetooth light is now up here rather than down here. Well, actually, I'll show you the 240 volt version. It doesn't have a 240 Bluetooth light. It just has a Bluetooth symbol. You can see it's quite different there. So this one here, it only costs about $40 extra, and you get an amp controller. You can control the amps that this thing draws from the 240 volt side. You get up-to-date firmware. If you're into tweaking, you get a charger that is way more capable of being tweaked. So the list of little advantages over the 240 volt version just goes on and on. There's tons. So if you're going to get just one of these, do not get just the 240 volt. Do not get the 240 volt version. Get the 120 240 volt. It's worth it. And the way you can tell is, well, actually, I'll show you. Right. There you go. It says 85 volt to 265 volt. Right. This one, come down here, it says 220 volt to 240 volt. And that's it. So, and then of course, like I said, the Bluetooth light. That's a big physical giveaway. And yeah, once again, this here is the top model of the Phoenix Smart Charger as well. 3 outputs, 12 volt, 50 amp. So full spec, full amps, yeah. By the way, I am still happy with the 240 volt version. It's still an incredibly good charger. If you didn't want to pay the $40 extra and you're happy just to have a charger do what a charger does, and you're not into tweaking too much, then go hard and just get the 240 volt version if if your supply is 240 volt. Well worth it. Yep. So yeah, overall I'm incredibly happy with both my chargers. They are expensive. They'll bring a tear to your eye, each one. I spent more money on these two AC chargers than I did on my big 3 kVA inverter. Now, in saying that though, like I said, you want high amps for your lithium when you start getting up into a bigger battery bank. And you definitely, what was I going to say? And you definitely, oh, for goodness sakes, I've forgotten, sorry. But yeah, you want the high amps when you go for your lithium bank. Now, the other quick thing I'll say, try not to drag this out, but there is quite a bit of ground to cover. The other quick thing I'll say is, out of all the Victron chargers, these, in my mind, are currently the best separate chargers you can buy. There are bigger ones, like you can buy the Senator, and that can come out with 100 volts. 100 amps. But here's the thing: it doesn't have Bluetooth built in. It is not as compact. It's huge. It's a big thing. It weighs more than both of these things put together. It has fans, so it makes noise. These don't. So they're old. They're basically redundant. You have to even go and buy a Bluetooth dongle to hook it up. So why bother? You'd be better off buying two of these, and if I'm getting my facts right, these either don't cost that much more or they cost slightly less. I'm not sure. Be very little difference. Then there's the other one, the Skylar. Once again, very nice charger, but once again, no Bluetooth built in, no syncing with all your other solar gear if you got smart solar, which I do. So no Bluetooth. You have to get another Bluetooth dongle. Extra money. Once again, it's quite costly. It isn't as much as two of these. But in saying that though, it's not as compact as these. So you got the weight factor and the size factor. To give you an idea, I worked it out. One Skylar would take pretty much all of this room. One Skylar. Two of these would fit in here and still have room left. So it gives you an idea. I wouldn't recommend putting two of these in such a tight space though, because if they get a bit warm, you don't want them warming each other up. It's better off having them spaced apart. So yeah, once again, the Skylar's big. It doesn't have any Bluetooth built in. You got to buy, I think actually, I don't even know if you can hook a Bluetooth dongle to the Skylar. I'm not sure. You may be able to, but I think you actually have to have the Cerbo. So if you're just wanting a basic system, suddenly you have to buy the Cerbo to be able to really utilize the Skylar charger, or you use its little screen, but that's only if you can physically access it. Sometimes it's not so easy to physically access these things like this. You know, that's not exactly the most easiest thing to physically access. I can through that doorway down there, but you know, yeah. So once again, things to think about. Yeah. So, in my opinion, and that's my view, there'll be other people with a lot of other views, but for now, I believe these are the best AC chargers that Victron make as separate entities. Also, this one here, I think, is the newest. I think this is the newest AC charger by Victron, because this was September 2022 was its certificate. So I think that even tops the Blue Smart charger. Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, that's about it. I hope people have learnt something off this, because I had to learn a lot of things the hard way. And if you got any questions, please feel free to ask me. I'll do my best to help. And yeah, I hope everybody has a great day, and yeah, cheers for now. Thank you.